Northern districts of Sydney for 32 years and having raised my family here. But my background's a little bit different. Both my grandfathers were lawyers. One of my grandfathers was actually a UAP member of the New South Wales Parliament. That's the predecessor of the Liberal Party. Both my parents were doctors. I grew up on the North Shore. I attended private schools. I went to the University of Sydney and studied science. I then spent 30 years in the telecommunications industry, a bit over, mostly as an executive working in telecommunications service providers, carriers. It doesn't sound like the typical CV of a Labor candidate. So why am I here as a Labor candidate? The short answer is that it was Gough Whitlam, when he was Prime Minister, that showed me that if you actually value a fair go for all, you need to think of government as part of the solution, not as part of the problem. And that's one of the really big differences that we've got today. The Liberals today only see government as part of the problem and never as part of the solution. Gough showed me that government was about making a difference in people's lives, giving everyone an opportunity and treating them with respect. Just like most of the other people in Epping, I have made my living by what I do, not by what I own. And that's the people that Labor seeks to represent. That's what a worker is. Someone who makes their living by what they do. I'm standing as the Labor candidate in Epping because I believe, like Gough, that ordinary Australians deserve a fair go, people most in need deserve a helping hand, and they need the essential services they rely on. Here in New South Wales, the Liberals have cut health and education, including the gutting of TAFE. They plan to privatise most of our electricity network and our railway line, the North West Rail. You know, that is their shameful plan to privatise our railway. But they've also taken the people of Epping for granted. Projects like the ECCC, North Connects, Epping redevelopment have all been undertaken with little consultation. Cherrybrook can rightly be called the Forgotten Valley, with choked roads and inadequate services and plans to impose even more on them, both in the development of Cherrybrook and further redevelopment in South Dural without any additional services. The people of Epping that I seek to represent deserve to be treated with respect and genuinely consulted on the issues that affect them. So on 28 March, I'm really encouraging all of you to help me get the people of Epping to act in their own self-interest and vote Labor. Now, Anthony's already mentioned the fact that there are issues in this election that extend beyond the state issues. The federal issues will no doubt be relevant, but so will local government issues. You know, the unfair budget and I will use the word inept Prime Minister, were certainly a factor in Victoria and Queensland. There is no doubt about that. Up in this part of the world, you know, after good government was going to start and Tony was going to have a show a new leaf, the one thing he did was sack Philip Ruddock. He's actually part of the old school Liberals, who actually stands for a Liberal Party that was actually caring and believed in government. And so Tony Abbott's reaction to Australia doesn't like me, so I'll sack Philip Ruddock. And I know there are people in Epping who intend to use 28 March to show their dissatisfaction about the federal government. But the dislike of Hornsby Council is threatening to make Mr Abbott look like a key Liberal asset. You know, it is a Liberal-controlled council that equally shows little concern for the local community and has the same attitude of asset sales that typifies the New South Wales Liberals. So you see the same story, federal, state and local. The Liberals believe in cutting services and selling assets. Anthony also already talked about the key distinction between us and the Conservatives. I like the words that Bill Clinton used in his 2012 address, US Democratic Convention address, where he described the difference between Democrats and Republicans by saying, you see, we believe that we're all in this together is a far better philosophy than you're on your own. And it really is a difference in values. that people need to understand. I can never understand people who suggest there is no difference between the two major parties. There is a fundamental and very big difference. And I won't go on because we're probably getting a bit hungry. The one thing I do want all of your help to do is not only to encourage people in this election to say, we know we've been taken for granted, I want you to vote Labor. There are some people in this electorate who will want to cast a protest vote and will be attracted to some of the other candidates, be that Kerry Fox, the Independent, or Emma Heidi, the Green. What I really want us all to do is make sure we also take the message to everybody that says, if you really, really, really want to tell the Liberals that they have been taking you for granted, is what I want you to tell everyone. If you want to tell the Liberals they've been taking you for granted, make sure you put the Liberals last. Because that is the message that people in Epping need to take forward. We have got a great team in New South Wales. This is a reinvigorated party in New South Wales. It's a reinvigorated party here in the northwest. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence today of my colleague Steve Ackerman, who is the candidate for Hornsby.